I have with me today Jake Hesseltine. Jake has seen me and has had some interesting challenges he's had to deal with, and has agreed to share them with others so they can learn by sharing and hearing stories about other folks dealing with the issues. A couple of the issues that have come up in discussions with Jake have to do with FH, familial hypercholesterolemia, and lean mass hyperresponder. Jake came to me already knowing a good bit about both of those. The other thing you can see just right off the bat is that Jake is a young fellow. So Jake, why don't you take it from there and tell us a little bit about what's going on? And again, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Sure thing. Yeah, my pleasure. You know, as long as I can remember, I think I got my cholesterol tested when I was maybe 19 or 20 years old. And even at that age, the numbers were considered relatively high. However, my age kind of mitigated any risk, apparently, that there was for having those numbers. But I have a great deal of heart disease on both sides of my family, on my dad's side and on my mom's side, and multiple grandparents who have passed away, and then on top of it, my dad, he had triple bypass not that long ago. He's always had trouble controlling his cholesterol, and he's very much like me. He's an athlete, and for the most part does right by his body and whatnot, and still has had issues. And so he's always been on me to try to stay in touch with my cholesterol numbers. But of course, I was kind of an obstinate youth and tried to figure it out my way, you know. And so that being said, although I'm young, now I'm 40 and I got 2 kids, and it wasn't that long ago, I've always had high numbers, and the one that I finally went and saw my general practitioner, and he suggested I go on a statin. I did a lot of research, and I had done a lot of research prior, and I've always tried to control the numbers, but I've never really been able to get my total cholesterol, as an example, down below 200. And then on top of it, I'd work out, I'd eat proper, and I'd implement as much as I possibly could to control it, but it just never seemed to work out. And so about a year ago, I started researching keto and looking into that and seeing what that would do for potential heart disease and whatnot and inflammation. And so I went down a lot of different rabbit holes, and I fully embraced the keto lifestyle. And this is unbeknownst to my general practitioner. And so I ended up doing that for probably about 6 months, and then I went and got my numbers tested. But at the same time, I also got a calcium score. And just being really blunt and straightforward, it freaked me out. I got a score. And so at age 39, basically, I was in the 93rd percentile for risk factor for heart disease. So no longer was it just kind of this thing that my dad was always warning me about, and those numbers have consequences and all of that kind of stuff. But and I was determined also, just FYI, to not just go by the numbers. It was, I really wanted to have a healthy lifestyle, and so that being said, when I got that calcium score, it scared the life out of me. And so I went and got my cholesterol tested, and I was doing the keto diet, and I had read Dr. Ivor Cummings, or not Dr. Ivor Cummings because he's not a doctor, but an engineer. And I read his book, and I really enjoyed it, and I did it exactly to a T. And as Dr. Brewer knows, I'm very regimented and pretty disciplined. So I went and got my CAC score, and then I went and got my blood samples done, and I don't know exactly what the numbers were, but they were astronomical, and it absolutely floored all my general practitioner was absolutely floored, along with I went and saw a heart specialist, and they were floored, and it went in the realm of 460 was my total cholesterol with LDL. I could look it up real quick. It's 379.
Yeah,
so
I think
it was ridiculous, and so that was pretty frightening on the other side of it. And so and that's when I actually started to to also look into some of your videos and taking a look at somebody who was aware of, for one, like maybe a low-carb type lifestyle and seeing and eliminating the risk potentially of, you know, that I don't have prediabetes or anything like that, but that this is a cholesterol thing. And I've also been going down rabbit holes as far as like basically just trying to control this all by lifestyle and by diet and meditation and all of that, but I needed like a happy medium, and I needed a doctor who kind of understood what was going on both realms of it. And so I didn't want to take a statin, but I saw some compelling videos that you had put up, and so anyways, I paid out of pocket to come and see you and to kind of get control over this. And long story short, I've got numbers now that are, I mean, beyond my wildest dreams, like just from a numbers perspective, but it's been a huge process, you know. It's like, and yeah, it's, you know, I potentially have familial hypercholesterolemia along with a lean mass hyperresponder. So I don't do the keto diet necessarily anymore, but I do kind of a slow carb type lifestyle diet.
I was first introduced to Dr. Brewer through his YouTube channel, and I was just intrigued with all of the information that was being presented there. So I decided to come to the conference because I thought that there would be people that had shared similar things, you know, with me, and that we could collaborate together here as a group. And that's why I came, and I have been just very fortunate and grateful that the people here, they're just, we now seem like friends and family, because we not only were teachers while we were here, we were also students, because we learned and we shared information with each other about our experiences. And I think that's been great, just having the open dialogue, and I've really enjoyed it.